Honestly, I didn't plan to make another video like this. After the last one, I thought I had said what I needed to say. But then the messages started coming in. Hundreds of them. People shared their own stories, their regrets, the things they'd been carrying quietly for years. Reading those messages made me stop and reflect, not just on my own life, but on my marriage and the habits I built over decades without questioning them. It reminded me how easily we convince ourselves that small things don't matter. So today, I want to talk about those small lies we tell ourselves. The ones that seem harmless but slowly shape the life we end up living. My name is George. I'm 89 years old, and there's something I've never said out loud until very late in my life. For 46 years, I lied to my wife about something small, not a betrayal, not a secret that would shock anyone. Just a quiet avoidance I repeated year after year. It didn't ruin our marriage in one moment. It slowly shaped it. And only when I finally faced it did I understand how much time that small lie had taken from both of us. It happened on a quiet Thursday afternoon. We were sitting on the porch, the way we had so many times before, watching the light change. She asked me a question she'd asked for years, almost casually. Do you ever regret not finishing your degree? For 46 years, I'd given the same answer. No, it worked out fine. That day, I couldn't say it again. Something in me finally gave way. I told her the truth. I said yes, that I regretted it more than I ever admitted. She didn't respond right away. Neither did I. We just sat there in silence, realizing how much time we had spent circling a truth we were both afraid to touch. If this moment feels familiar to you, leave a comment with the number 6. That silence showed me something I had avoided for decades. I wasn't protecting peace. I was protecting my pride. I told myself the truth didn't matter, that the regret wasn't real, that I was strong enough to carry it alone. But pretending it didn't hurt didn't make it disappear. It only kept me stuck. By holding on to that small lie, I took something away from both of us. I denied myself the chance to change, and I denied my wife the chance to truly know me, to support me, or even to help in ways she might have wanted to. That's when I began to notice how often we do this to ourselves. We rely on small, familiar phrases to get through the day. I'm fine. It's nothing. I don't need help. Sometimes those words keep things moving. They help us avoid an uncomfortable moment or a difficult conversation. But when we repeat them for years, they stop being harmless. They harden. They turn into walls, quiet ones, that separate us from the people who care about us. We think we're being strong, but in reality, we're just learning how to be alone without admitting it. I was reminded of this by a man I worked with for over 20 years. Frank and I had lunch together, talked about sports, weather, ordinary things. 6 months after he retired, his daughter called to tell me he had passed away. She said something that stayed with me. He wished he'd shared more with you, but never did. Sitting at his funeral, I realized how little I truly knew him. I had known the surface, nothing underneath. And now I never would. Not long after that, my son David came to see me. We were sitting in the kitchen when he told me something he'd carried for 30 years. He said he had lied to me out of fear. Fear that he wasn't good enough. Fear that he would disappoint me. We talked for hours that day, not politely, honestly, about mistakes, misunderstandings, and things we never said out loud. When he left, I felt lighter than I had in years, not because the conversation was easy, but because it was real. That's when it finally became clear to me. The lies we tell in the name of being strong don't protect us. They isolate us. We convince ourselves we're not burdening anyone, that we're handling things on our own. But what we're really doing is locking ourselves inside our pain, quietly and alone. We call it independence. We call it pride. But underneath, it's often fear. Fear of being seen as weak, needy, or unfinished. And over time, that fear shrinks our lives down to what we can manage by ourselves, which is far less than we were ever meant to carry alone. After that conversation, something shifted between my wife and me. We didn't suddenly solve everything, and we didn't start having dramatic confessions. Instead, we began sharing small truths, daily ones, saying when we felt scared, lonely, or hurt, instead of swallowing it. It wasn't always comfortable. Sometimes those truths led to tension or quiet disagreements, but they also brought us closer. There was less guessing, less distance. For the first time in a long while, we weren't managing a version of each other. We were meeting as we actually were. I saw this same pattern in a man named Walter who lived in my building. He was 82, polite, always saying he understood why his children were busy. He didn't want to be a burden. But every Sunday, I'd see him standing by the window, watching families come and go. That's when I understood something painful. Pride isolates more people than betrayal ever does. It convinces us to stay silent when what we really need is connection. If you've ever told yourself, "I'm fine," just to avoid having to ask for more, please leave a comment and let me know. A few years ago, my youngest daughter called me in tears. She said she felt like she was failing at everything and couldn't hold it together anymore. I didn't tell her she'd be fine. I didn't try to fix it. I told her the truth, that I had felt the same way many times in my life. We talked for over an hour. I didn't give her answers, but later she told me that honesty helped her breathe again. If you've ever needed someone to simply be real with you, leave a comment and share that moment. At 89, time feels different. Every conversation carries more weight because I know it could be the last one I have with someone. That awareness has changed how I live. I don't hide behind polite answers anymore. I say what matters while I still can. I tell people when I'm grateful, when I'm scared, when something hurts. I've stopped pretending I'm fine just to keep things comfortable. At this age, comfort matters less than truth, and truth feels like the only thing worth leaving behind. I'm not saying you need to share everything with everyone. Some things are private, but there are truths you owe to yourself and to the people closest to you, the ones who love you enough to stay. Start there. Be honest about what hurts, about what you need, about what you've been pretending doesn't matter. You don't have to perform being fine anymore. Let yourself be real instead. Because the people who truly care about you aren't waiting for a perfect version of you. They're waiting for the honest one. If this story stayed with you, I hope it encourages you to keep exploring what honesty can change. There are a few books that helped me think more clearly about this. The Gifts of Imperfection, When Things Fall Apart, and Man's Search for Meaning. I'll leave them below if you're interested. This channel is a place for real stories like this one. If you found value here, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who might need it. And if you're carrying a truth you've been avoiding, leave a comment. If you have a story of your own, there's a place to share it too. We heal better when we're honest together.